application. Let's start building. Let's start putting the technologies together so that we can build this from the ground up. Um, to begin with, we're gonna need. If you watch the previous tutorial where we did a demonstration of what we're going to be doing, I showed you some of the technologies that we're going to be using to build this. Uh, One of the things I didn't show you was my SQL. Okay, so I think to make this easy, you can just install Hexam. I have Hexam installed. So Hexam is an Apache server. You can just, it comes pre-installed with MySQL database. So you can just download for your operating system and then the specification for your machine and then install. And then you're good to go. So we're going to be needing Hexam. We're going to be using Hexam. We're going to be using Node.js. We've talked about Node.js, how to install Node.js, the previous tutorial. We're going to be needing Node.js, and then we're going to be setting up our Express server. Okay, so um, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop this for now so that we start building our application. So I have this. So I'm going to just do Control C to stop this. Okay, so I'm going to CD. Okay, let me zoom this so that we see what we're doing. So I'm going to CD dot dot. Okay, CD dot dot. Okay, CD. Okay, let me go back. Dot dot. Okay. Um, before we start, uh, before we start the whole command line prompting, let's set up our database. So if you have Exam installed, if you're on Windows, just go to Start menu and press Exam. Then you press, you open Exam, and then you have the Exam control panel open up for you. But if you're on Mac, you can go to your application folder, and then you can get. See, I have it running here, so let me just stop it and show you how to go about it. You can go here, and then so you can go here. So this is Exam. You can click here, see Manager OSX, and you click here. This is no longer running, so it's asking me for my password. So it should open up. Maybe I'll make a separate video on how to install this for macOS user, the Hexam, I mean. So you go to manage servers. Oh, this is running. If it wasn't running, just do start off. So I think I was running it prior to this time. Okay. So once you have that running, I'm going to minimize this. Then you just open localhost phpMyAdmin on your browser, and then you should open up this phpMyAdmin. So we're going to create a new database. That's the first thing we're going to do. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this manually, and then for the table, we're going to write some SQL query to create a table. So here I'm going to do club. What do I want to call it now? Club. What should we call our table? Okay, club app. Let's call it club app. Club app. Okay, let's call our table club app, and then we're going to click create. Okay, so this is our table. Great. So we're going to write some SQL queries to create a table. So we've created our database here. Okay. So now we're going to create a table inside our database. Okay. So I'm going to click this SQL tab. Okay. So when I click this SQL tab, coming, is there a way I can zoom this? Okay. So I want us to see what I'm doing. Okay. So we're inside this SQL tab. So we're going to write some query to create our table. So I'm inside this club hub database. See? No, this isn't what I want to do. Um, this isn't what I want to do. SQL. Okay, so this is what I want to do. SQL. So let me just go ahead. Say create table. I'm gonna call it table clubs. Okay, and then yeah, I'm gonna have a parenthesis here, and then okay. So here I'm gonna have ID. The type is int. It's auto increment coming. It's auto increment. It's auto increment. What am I doing? It's auto increment, and then it's primary key. Primary key. Okay. Uh, I'm gonna have slug. We're gonna have slug. Slug is going to be varchar 255. What's that? 255. It's gonna be unique, and it's not null. Unique, not null. Okay. Uh, why am I getting this? Create table clubs. Symbol name was expected. Yeah. I don't know what I'm getting this. This is not supposed to be. Okay. Let's continue. I'm gonna have name. So I'm gonna have name. That's the name of the club. Varchar 255. And it's not now. Okay. And I'm gonna have a logo. So our type is text. I'm gonna have trophies. So these are the different columns that we're going to be populating our table with. So this is int, and I'm going to default it to 0. Okay. We're going to have established that is the year our club was established. It's going to be hint, and then we're going to have okay, how many league they've won? No, the league they played in. They playing the club, the league they playing. So it should be Vacha 200. Okay. Uh, so we're gonna have standard player. Standard player. Standard player is going to be Vacha 255. Then we're gonna have the captain, the coach. I'm just gonna copy and paste this so we don't waste each other's time. So this is gonna be captain. Captain. The next one is going to be coach. So this is coach. I'm going to change this to coach. Okay. The next one is going to be owner. So I'm going to change this to owner. Okay. We're going to need stadium. Stadium. Okay. Okay, I can leave that as a 255. Then we need description. This could be long a bit, so you're gonna make that type text. Okay, and then created at. We're gonna have created at. The type is gonna be timestamp. Timestamp. Then default. What's that? Default. Okay. A default is gonna be current timestamp. Current timestamp. Okay, so that's what we have for our table. Okay, so I'm just gonna use this to create our table. I think that's all. And if I do go, okay, so we have a table created. So if I do this structure, okay, okay, so this is club app clubs. Okay, so this is what we have here. So we have our table here. I wanted to show you the structure. Okay, yeah, this is what I want to show you. So this is our table. This is what we're going to be populating a few minutes from now. Okay. So having done that, we have to set up our server so that we can hook to this database. Okay. So I'm going to open terminal. Okay. So what I'm going to do in my terminal is I'm going to create a folder for our project. So I'm going to create it inside a document folder. So I'm going to cd to document, cd document, cd document. What am I doing? cd document. Okay. So here I'm going to make a directory. What should I call it? I'm going to call it football club. No, that's too much. Club football. Club football. Okay. So I'm going to cd into that directory. Cd club football. Okay. Let me clear. So our SSR is going to take MVC architecture. So we're going to be doing model controller views. So so I'm going to create 3 more directories there. Make directory, controller. Okay. I'm going to create another one. Make directory, views. Okay. Okay. We also need routes. Make directory, routes. Okay. What else? We need our public folder to load our assets. So I'm going to do make directly public. Okay. So it's a Node.js application. So we have to create our package.json file so that we can share the dependencies that we use in our program with other programmers, friends, however we like it. So I'm going to do npm init here. Npm init is going to create a package.json file, and then whatever we install, whatever packages we install, is going to install in another folder known as a node module. But then the packages we install is going to be captured in our package.json file. So I'm going to do npm init, and then I'm going to set the default to yes. Okay, so this has created an npm folder for us. So what I'm going to do is clear, and then I'm going to open this with Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to do code dot, and this should open Visual Studio Code. Okay. All right. So we have a Visual Studio Code coming right up. Okay. So these are Visual Studio. See, all the directories we created are here. Yes, I trust this auto. Okay, so what I'm gonna do first is come in. Let me zoom this. Let me zoom this so that we'll see what we're doing. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do here is, and this is two, okay, I'm gonna create a server.js file. Okay, so here I'm gonna do server.js. In our server.js, we're going to be writing our server. Okay, okay, so the main is server.js, not index.js. I'm going to change this here. Server.js. Okay, then I'm going to save. Then inside here, server.js, before we install any package, we can quickly create an express server by using the inbuilt node module to create our we can create a Node.js server, not Express server. We have to install Express before we create Express server. So what I meant to say is, before we install any package in Node.js, we have some inbuilt node module with which we can quickly boot up a Node.js server. So let me quickly show you that. So I'm going to deconstruct create server. Create server. I'm going to require node http, okay, and then I'm going to do const server. We're going to be create server, okay, and I'm going to pass a callback function. This callback function is going to, it's a request listener essentially, so it's going to listen to request from our server, okay, and then we have this, okay, so this is our request listener. It's going to take requests from our view, okay. So here I can do rest.write head, okay, let's set 200. Okay, that's our response header, and then we're gonna have an object here. Let's set content type. I'm gonna set that to text, plain text. Okay, and then I'm gonna do rest.end. I'm gonna call that hello everyone. start with this capital letter. Okay. And then we have to listen to our server. So to listen to a server, I can do server.listen. I'm going to set the ports. Let's set the ports to 5000. Our home address 127.0.0.1. Then it's going to be a callback function. Then we're going to say console.log server is running. Okay. Okay. So when we open this port in the browser, we should get this rest.end arguments. Hello everyone. So let me save this, and then I'm going to go to my terminal, and then I'm going to do, since we're in our project directory, I'm going to do node server.js. Let's see what that does. It says server is running. Okay, so I'm going to our server, our browser. Then I'm going to do 127.500 5000 rather. It says hello everyone, so our server is up and running. Okay. But what we're going to be doing is going to be a bit more involved than this. This is just to show you that we can quickly boot up a Node.js server without installing any package. So we can use that. So we're using the inbuilt HTTP module in Node.js to boot up this server. Okay. Okay, I want you guys to see what we're doing. So I've zoomed in a bit more. I'm going to stop this server now. So I'm going to do Control C. Okay. So we're going to install our dependencies. Okay. So we need Express. We can do npm install Express. Okay. We need cause. We need what else do we need? Express, cause. I think. Okay. Let's stick with those two for now. Okay. Okay. Let's do. Let's install Express and cause. Okay, so we've installed Express. We're also gonna need NodeMon because I want I don't want us to be typing node server.js all the time. Every time we make changes to our code, so NodeMon is going to monitor our server so that we don't have to stop and restart our server all the time. So I'm gonna do npm. Since we don't really need Node.js, and Node.js is gonna be a dev dependency. Okay, it's not gonna be a core dependency that we need. So I'm gonna npm install d. So it's gonna be NodeMon. So d means our dev dependency. So this should come up. I think my network connection is kind of slow. Okay, so our NodeMon is installed. We're gonna go back to our Visual Studio Code. So in our Visual Studio Code, I want to write some script in up. See, calls Express. So NodeMon, it's all here. So I'm gonna write some script for our server. So here I'm gonna do start. So for start, it's node server.js. So it's node server.js, and then there's one more, dev. So dev is going to be NodeMon server.js. Okay, so I'm going to save that, and then here in a server, if I do, let me go back. If I do npm run dev, okay, so npm run dev this script, so node npm run dev is going to do node.js server.js. So we're going to use node.js to monitor our server. So it says server is running, okay. If we go back here, just okay, so we still get our hello everyone. All right, so let's set up our express server. We don't need this for now, so let's set up our express server. Now just gonna cancel it. So I'm gonna require express first. So we're using CommonJS here. This syntax, it's CommonJS is it's the default for Node.js. We can also use ESLint or whatever, what is it called, to do import statement, but we're going to be using CommonJS here in this tutorial. So this is I'm going to require express, const express, so require express, okay. I'm going to do const cause, so require cause. All of these packages we're requiring, those are the packages we installed a while ago, okay guys. And then we're going to need our path. Our path is inbuilt in Node.js. If you notice, we didn't install that. Okay. What else? So we're going to call our express server const app. So we're going to do express. It's going to fire this express function, okay. So we can listen to our express server using these app objects, okay. So what else do we need? What do we need? Let's set up our middleware. So we can do app.use calls, okay. We can use app.use express.json. Express.json handles our request body. We also have another middleware, app.use what's it called, express.url encoded, okay, and then extended set that to true, okay. So these are middlewares for handling our request body, okay. What else do we need? I said we're going to be using EJS for our views, okay. We're going to be using EJS for our views. So let's write a code to specify that. So we can do app.set. So our view engine, we're going to specify it as EJS, okay. And then we have to set the paths, this views paths. So it's going to be app.set again. Then we're going to have views, okay, that's the path. Then the path.join, okay. We're going to have directory name, okay, and then views. No, I don't think this syntax is correct. Okay, views, like this. Alright, so this is getting our views directory here. Okay, so we're setting our views, then we're setting our view directory with this path.join. Okay. We also need to handle our asset, which is inside this public folder. So the way we do that is to do app.use express.static, okay, and then think we should do this. The paths dot join. Then we do directory name, and then we set the directory, which is public folder. Okay, and then we need to set our ports. So we do const port. I think we're going to use port 5000. Okay, and then we can do app.listen. Okay, so we're going to listen to this port. Okay, and then we're going to do we're going to have a callback function after this port, and then this callback function is going to do console.log server is running. Okay, so we're just setting up our Express server prior to us connecting to our MySQL database. So let's see whether this works. Let's go back. Okay, it says server is running. So if I go here, let me see. If I refresh, okay, it says cannot get. Of course, it cannot get. We've not set any view yet. So, but our server is up and running, so we're good to go. The next thing we're gonna do, I didn't create. I should have created. Okay, let me create a config folder here. The config folder. Inside our config folder, we're going to connect our DB database. Okay, so here I can do new file, and I can do db.js. We need some kind of plugin to connect to our DB. Okay, I have no desire to open multiple terminal, so I'm just going to stop this. Control C. Oh, sorry, I didn't do Control C. I did Option C. Control C. Okay. So the plugin that we're going to be using to connect to our MySQL database is known as let me go here. npm MySQL 2, I think. Okay, so it's a popular high-performance and feature-rich Node.js driver for interacting with MySQL databases. Okay, so this is what we're going to be using. It says to install, just the npm install MySQL 2. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go back to our terminal, and then here I'm going to paste this. Okay, so if I paste this, enter, it should install MySQL 2 for us. So this is what we're going to be using to connect to our MySQL database. Let's exercise a bit patience. Okay, so it's installed. Okay, so I'm not going to start our server yet. Let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. So here we're going to write the code for connecting to our server. Sorry, for connecting to our database. Okay, so we're going to require the MySQL 2 that we've just installed now. So I'm going to do MySQL. I'm going to call this MySQL. So it's going to require MySQL 2. Okay, so we're going to write the API for connecting to our MySQL database. So I'm going to do const pull equals MySQL. So this MySQL object that we require here. So MySQL, we're going to call a method create pull. Okay, and then here, okay, so we're going to set our host. Our host is localhost. Our host is localhost. Let let me brighten this a bit. Okay, so you can see what we're doing. Our user is going to be root. Okay, and then let me stay consistent. I was using single quote. Okay, and then our password. These are how all of these properties are our database credentials. Okay, so for our database name, if our database name, we did what's that? What did we call our database? Let me go to. We call it Club Hub. Okay, Club Hub. That's what we call it. So I'm gonna Club Hub. So that's our database name. Okay, and then we have to export this to use in our model. Okay, so I'm gonna do module.exports. I'm gonna set it to okay. So this pool we can call a promise method on it. All these it's in the what is it? NPM documentation. The plugin that we're using. You see, see. Okay. So although we're using this is saying create connection, but I've stuck with create pool because I intend to. You see, because here they're requiring the promise directly, so they're using create connection. But me, I wasn't requiring the promise directly here. So what I was doing was I was requiring just MySQL 2. So I'm using create pool to use the promise. Okay. If we had done this, it still would have worked the same way, but I'm used to this anyway. So I'm gonna do pool.promise. Okay. So the reason I'm doing this so that I can use the much cleaner async method to connect to our database. Okay, so I'm going to use the async await method to connect to our database here, so I can save this to connect to our database. Okay, I need one more folder to hold our module. So I'm going to module. Okay, so inside our module, we're going to have a schema of our database. Okay, our database column. And then inside our controller, we're going to create the different controller functions, or is a method now for interacting with our views. Okay, and then here we're going to set our routes, and then here we're going to declare our views. Inside our views, we're going to need partials. So let me just create folder here. Partials. Inside our partials, we're going to need coming is a header, the EJS. I may be jumping. I think I'm jumping the gun a bit here because we've not even gotten navbar.ejs, just in case. I don't want to forget. Okay. Anyway, we've not even gotten here at all. So we're going to set up our module. Our module is going to comprise of the schema for connecting to our database. Okay. Okay, so let's start off with our module here. Here I'm going to create a new file known as club module.js. Okay, so here we're going to create our different module. Let's start with okay, how should I do this? Let's do class club. So then let's do class club, and then so that I don't forget, I can use module.exports to export this. I'm going to do module dot export equals to club. Okay, so here we're going to have different static method for our for our uh, for our database. Okay, so what should I start with? Let me start with the create. Okay, so I can do static async create. This is going to allow us to create our clubs. Okay, so this is supposed to be static. Okay, we're going to be using this to uh, query our database when we create our clubs. Okay, so this is going to take the data that we're going to be populating our database with. Okay, so we are using static. The reason we're using static is so that we wouldn't have to instantiate this class. We can just do club dot create whenever we wish to use this static method. Okay, so I'm going to write some code. I'm going to const. All right. If you check our database columns, our table. Okay, so here we have um, ID, slug, name, logo, trophies. Now trophies int, the type is int, establish int. Okay, so we need to make sure that we are passing the correct type from our views. Okay, so for that reason here I'm going to do for the create method, that is the method for creating our clubs. So I'm going to do formatted data. Formatted data. I'm going to set it to object. And then this data that we're expecting, I'm going to spread it here using the spread operator. And then trophies. For trophies, we're expecting int. So in order to be sure we're actually passing int from the views, we're going to do this JavaScript method pass int. Okay, so for passing, we're going to do data.trophies. All right, so whenever we're passing our trophies data from the views, it has to be int. This pass int method will ensure we're actually passing int. Okay, this will ensure it's actually populating our database with int, integer type. Okay, which is number type in JavaScript anyway. So here we have established. Established. We're also going to do pass int. Then we're going to do data.established. All right. Okay. Here let's do 0. Okay. So the club might not have had won anything yet. So just like they may not have won anything yet. So we set the trophies what we're passing, or if they've not won anything, so that's 0. And then here established, maybe we don't know, and do null. So either what we're passing or null. All right. What else should we do? We need to make use of this formatted data. So we have to query our database now. So we're gonna do here inside this method, we're gonna do return. Now because we use the async method, we're gonna do await db dot query. What am I doing? db dot query. Okay. Here we had MySQL. Okay, so I have to install this. I'm sorry, I didn't install this. I'm wondering, what am I doing? So let me go back here. So we have to require this. Okay, we have to require this file. So I'm going to go back to club module. Then I'm going to do const db equals require. Okay, we have to navigate outside of this module. So we go into this config. So it's going to be config, then db. Okay. So we now use this db here. So return how it's db. So db.query. This allows us to query our database. So we can do insert into the name of our table is clubs. Okay, so we're going to insert into clubs. Okay, and then we're going to set our data. So this syntax. Okay, and then we have to pass this formatted data. So it's going to be inside an array formatted data. Okay, so this is for create method. Okay, let's finish our CRUD. After create, we're going to have to we would like to update as well. So we're going to do create, update, delete. Okay, so let's do update. Let's do static async update. Okay, it's going to take a data that we wish to update. Okay, and then okay, in order to update our data, okay, our club data, we have to sanitize, much like we did here when we ensure that we're actually passing the right type. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do if data dot trophies. Okay, if data dot trophies. So what do? We can do data dot trophies is equals to pass int data dot trophies. Okay, that is if we set data dot trophies, that is if we update trophies in our views, we want to set data dot trophies, and then we want to make sure we're passing integer type. Okay, so that's that. We also do for established to say if data dot established. Okay, so we can do data dot established. Okay, equals to pass int, then we do data dot established. Okay, all right. Then we have to do our query. So what do? We can do const query. Okay, and then we can write our query here. Say update. What do we update? Clubs. That's our table. Then we can set our data. Okay, where ID is equals to what we're setting from the views. Okay, remember our data has ID, so we're trying to update the club that has that particular ID that we are passing from our views. Okay, so we have to return our query, so we can do return await, since we're using the async method, await db.query. Okay, then we pass in our query, then data.id. Okay, that's the ID of the data we are updating. Okay, so that's that. We also need delete. Okay, so we can do static, oh, static async delete, all these extensions, delete, god, async delete, static async delete. Then I'm going to pass the ID of uh, the club that we wish to delete. So all we just have to do is that we're going to return db.query. Okay, then we can write our query here, delete from clubs where ID is the ID that we set. Okay, and then we're going to pass this ID in here like that. Okay, so we're done with our delete. We're almost done with our club module. So we would like to search. Okay, so let's do for search. Can do static async search. What do we want to search? So we need to the time that we want to search. Okay, so we have to write the query for searching our database. So let me use a backticks here. So I'm going to do select everything, from clubs, okay, where name, it's like the query that we enter, okay, or standard player. So these are the two columns that we're going to be using for our search query. Our standard player is like the query that we're passing from our views. Okay, so what else do we do here? We can do, okay, so this is our search query. What's the next thing? Let's have a pattern. Okay, okay, so here that's our term. Okay, so then we can do const rows. Okay, then we can do await db.query. Okay, then we can do query. This query, oh, I didn't set the query, should have set the query. So this should be const query equals to this. So this is our query. Okay, so our query. So I was wondering where did query come from. So const rows. So this is a suffix method. Okay, this is a suffix. We're getting the rows from our database. So await db.query, query this query now. Okay, then here we have our pattern. What's up our pattern? Okay, so two patterns. Okay, Let me add one more. Let me add one more here. Or league, so that our search query is more robust. Okay, so because I've added one more, then I'm going to have 3 patterns there. So pattern like that. Okay, so that's for our search. I have to return these rows. Okay, so after the array structure in there, I have to do return rows. Okay, so I'm returning these rows that I destructured from this. Okay, so what else do we need? We've done delete, we've done updates. Let's do the find all. Okay, the find all is going to query our database for all the clubs that are in our database. Okay, so we're going to do async. No, static first. Static async find all. Okay, maybe mistake here. Sorry. Okay, so it should be outside. It should be outside the search method. Okay. So here I'm going to write our code for finding her. Again, we're going to do structure rows. Then we're going to do await db.query. Okay. Then we're going to do select all from clubs. Okay. Select all from clubs. Then we're going to order by created hat. Okay, by created hat, and then it's going to be descending. Okay, then we can return rows here. Return rows. Okay, what else should we do? Let's do find by ID. Okay, so this find all is going to, this find all is going to query our database for all the columns that we have there, all the clubs that we have there. Okay, and then say we wish to query the database for a particular club, so we have to use the ID of that club. So we do static async find by ID. Okay, find by ID. All right. ID, I don't know whether I want to use ID or slug, but I'm just going to write both, and then we're going to decide later. Okay, so await db.query. Okay, and select all from clubs where ID is the ID that we're passing from our views. Okay, and then we're going to pass the ID here. Okay, and then we're going to return the first row. Okay, via that ID. Okay, let's also do for find by slug. So we can do static async find by slug. Find by slug, we can pass the slug inside. Okay, then again we're going to do structure const rows. Then we're going to do await db.query. I think we did the same thing there. So db.query is going to be select all from clubs where slug is going to be the slug we're passing, and then we're going to pass the slug. Yeah, we're going to set the slug. Yeah, okay. And then we have to return the first item there. Okay, like that. I think we should be done with this. Okay, I think that's for now. We should be done with our module. So let's go to our controller. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to do club controller. Our controller method, let me go back and be sure I exported this. So module.export club. Okay, good. So our controller method is going to be, the method is going to be fired. So module is going to query our database, okay? And then it's going to use this controller method to do it, okay? The methods we're going to be writing inside this file. It's going to be using the method to query our database. So like we did in the previous, what is it called? Like we did when we wrote our static methods for our model. So let's start with create club here. We're going to export these methods individually. So let's do export dot create club. Export the create club. So this is what is it called now? This is function expression. So async. So request. See this extension disturbing response. Okay. Then okay. So we're writing an asynchronous arrow function expression. Okay. So we're gonna do a try catch here. Try catch. Okay. So if we got an error, we're gonna process the undo the error here. Okay. So here, let's see. We have to take our request body. So I'm gonna do const data equals to request dot body. Okay. So this is the body of the request coming from our views. Okay. So what do we want to do now? In order to create our clubs, if you look at the columns, we have slug, we have name. We set our slug to be unique. Okay. So we want to handle that slug. We don't want to be passing the slug from our views. We want to just set the name of the club, and then from the name of the club we can create our slug, and we're going to make it unique. Okay. So for that we're going to do let's base slug. Okay. We're going to be data dot name. So we're going to be creating our slug from our name request body. Okay. So let's set it to data dot name dot to lowercase. So lowercase. Then let's have this pattern dot replace. I'm going to write a regular expression. I'm not going to bother you regular expression. I'm not going to bother explaining because I know a lot of you guys don't like regular expression. So I'm just going to write our pattern here. Okay. This. I'm going to have a caret. Backslash W. And then here, plus G. And then here. Okay. Let me buttress this pattern. I can do dot replace again. Then I'm going to have this plus G. And then I'm going to have this. Okay. So this is the pattern we're going to be using to generate our slug. We're going to be using it on the name request. So we have to check whether this slug exists already. So we can do const exist because await something else is missing. I have not import my club model here. So it says module.export club. So okay, I have to import it at the top here. So I'm going to do const club const to require. Okay. Module club module. Okay. So then I can make use of the module with this club object here. Okay. Await club dot find by slug. So there's this find by slug method that MySQL2 exposes to us. Okay, so we do base, we pass this in, so base slug. Okay, so we want to check whether this slug that we have generated with this pattern from our name request body, whether it exists. Okay, so to check that, we're going to use our module, our model, which is being represented, captured by these club objects. Then we're going to pass the find by slug method. This method is from our MySQL2 plugin that we installed earlier. Okay, so we pass this base slug argument in. Okay, now we need to do our data.slug. That's our slug request. Then we need to set, okay, if our data.slug exists, does it exist? If it exists, we're going to set a new pattern. Okay, otherwise we just pass the base slug that we had before. So to set a new pattern, I'm just going to do this and do base slug. Okay, then I'm going to do this. Use the mat.floor. Okay, and in here I'm going to do mat.random. Okay, I'm going to multiply this by 1000. Okay, or we just pass our base slug. Okay, so guys, you see what we're doing here. We're trying to check whether our slug already exists. So if it exists, no problem, we set a new pattern here. Otherwise, we return the base slug that we generated from our name. Okay, we have to redirect we also have to okay, so here we're going to do await club dot create. Okay, then we have our data. Okay, so this create uh this create method is this create that we did here. This, okay, like we said, it's static, so we don't have to instantiate this class here. We can just do club.create. Okay, club.create, and then we pass this data. What's that? Where did I get data? Okay, this data. Pass it here. Now I want us to undo our error elegantly. So we're going to create an error view in our what is it called, in our views folder. So to I'm going to go here inside our server, and then I'm going to create an error that we can use. So here we're going to do proud to here. I'm going to do um, I'm going to do app.use. Okay, then it's going to take error request response. Then there's this next method here. Okay, then we have this. Okay, so we're going to use this error that we're creating here. This let me just finish this. So we should have some like console.error server error. Okay, and we have error.stack. Okay, then we can do rest.status. Now we have error.status. What am I doing? Error.status of 500. So that's server error. Okay. Then what we're going to render when this middleware fires. So we're going to rest the render. Okay, we have error. Okay, so we're going to render an error view. Okay, whenever we get an error. Okay, so I'm going to pass an object here, and then I'm going to set the title property. I'm going to set it to something went wrong. Something went wrong. Okay, I'm going to set the message. The message is going to capture exactly what went on. So that's error.message. Okay, or an unexpected. What should we do? An unexpected error occurred on our hand. So it's an error like this. Okay, so I'm going to create this error.EJS later, but I just want to make use of this error method inside our controller. So here I can do, so well, I need to make use of, so after this, then go to the next middleware. Next, okay, so for our error, I'm going to do next. Then I'm going to pass this error. I'm going to pass it here. Then let me have a specific SQL error here. So if error.code strict comparison is equals to error dot entry. Okay, it's a duplicate entry. That's what it means. And this is a condition. So what do we want to do here? We can do return response dot status 400. Okay, dot render. We've not created our routes, but we're going to get there in a minute. So add club. So this is a route. Don't worry about this for now. We're going to create this in a minute. So pi2 is going to be add club. Okay, and then here we have error. It's going to be this club already exists. This club already exists. Like we said, this error is it's an error that is unique to our MySQL database. Okay, it's error that handles duplicate entry. So if we're passing a duplicate entry into our database, we're setting the error to say this club already exists in our database. Okay, then I want to set another property. I'm going to do form data. It's going to request dot body. Okay. I didn't handle redirects here. I should handle redirects. I think the reason I didn't handle redirects here was because we've not set our route, but I can still handle it. So here I can do res.redirect. Okay, so we should redirect to our home page. Okay. Okay, so we're not done with our controller. We're still going to have to do more in terms of, let me see. There's no need. I was going to check. Okay, let me see. Oh, there's one more thing I didn't do. I'm sorry. And then I have to do it now. Because the other time when we're installing the packages that we need, if you recall, we said we're going to use EJS to undo our views. EJS is embedded JavaScript. We forgot to install EJS here. Okay, so let me just install that. So npm install EJS. Okay, npm install EJS. Okay, so we've installed EJS. Okay, so it should be here, EJS. Okay, so we're not done with our controller. We still have to manage our routes and then hook our route. Our route is going to encompass our controller methods. Then from our route, we're going to hook our route to our server. Okay, but then I'm going to stop here for now. The next tutorial we're going to continue, and then we'll see how far we go. Okay, so I'll see you guys the next video.